In the chilly evening of December 2020, the city lights of downtown cast a warm glow on the cobblestone streets as Michael attended the wedding of his younger brother. Amidst the laughter, clinking glasses, and soft melodies that filled the air, Michael first laid eyes on Sophia. Her gentle smile and radiant presence captivated him instantly, drawing him away from his usual shyness and into a whirlwind of enchantment. Join us as we dive into The Hidden Betrayal, a cheating wife's redemption, a heartwarming and dramatic tale of love, deception, and second chances. Discover how Michael and Sophia navigate the complexities of trust, family pressures, and ultimately, their journey towards redemption and true love. Stay tuned for a story that promises to keep you hooked from beginning to end. In the chilly evening of December 2020, the city lights of downtown cast a warm glow on the cobblestone streets as Michael attended the wedding of his younger brother. Amidst the laughter, clinking glasses, and soft melodies that filled the air, Michael first laid eyes on Sophia. Her gentle smile and radiant presence captivated him instantly, drawing him away from his usual shyness and into a whirlwind of enchantment. Michael had always been a reserved individual, preferring the solitude of his books and the quietness of his thoughts over the bustling scenes of social gatherings. His academic pursuits had always taken precedence over romantic endeavors, leading him to excel in his studies but leaving his heart untouched by the flutters of young love. This, however, changed the moment he met Sophia. Sophia stood out, not just because of her beauty but because of the way she carried herself with a quiet confidence and a hint of mystery. She was not as conventionally glamorous as her sister Olivia, but there was an undeniable allure in her grace and the sparkle in her eyes. That evening, Michael found himself constantly stealing glances at her, his heart racing in a way it never had before. The reception was held at a grand old mansion, its ornate chandeliers and vintage decor adding to the magical atmosphere. Michael, dressed in a well-fitted black suit, felt out of place amidst the elegantly dressed guests. He stuck close to the edges of the room, hoping to blend into the background. But his eyes kept drifting back to Sophia, who seemed to light up the room with her presence. As the night progressed, Michael found himself standing near the dessert table, nervously eyeing a particularly tempting chocolate mousse. Just as he reached out to take a serving, his hand bumped into someone else's. He looked up, his eyes meeting Sophia's. She smiled, a soft and genuine smile that made Michael's heart skip a beat. "I'm sorry," he stammered, quickly retracting his hand. "It's all right," she replied, her voice as warm and soothing as her smile. "Looks like we both have a sweet tooth." Michael chuckled, feeling a bit more at ease. "I guess we do. I'm Michael, by the way." "Sophia," she introduced herself, extending her hand. He shook it gently, feeling an unexpected spark of connection. They spent the next few minutes chatting about the wedding, the desserts, and eventually about themselves. Michael learned that Sophia worked at a local steakhouse but had dreams of becoming a poet. She had a degree in literature, a fact that resonated with Michael, who admired anyone with a love for words and stories. Sophia, on the other hand, was intrigued by Michael's career in facilities management. Though it sounded mundane, Michael's passion for his work and his meticulous nature shone through as he talked about the various projects he had managed. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, and for the first time in a long while, Michael felt a genuine connection with someone. As the night drew to a close, Michael couldn't bear the thought of letting this opportunity slip away. Summoning all his courage, he asked, "Would you like to go out for coffee sometime?" Sophia hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "I'd like that." They exchanged numbers, and Michael left the wedding with a sense of excitement and nervous anticipation. Over the next few days, he replayed their conversation in his mind, wondering if he had made a good impression. His doubts, however, were put to rest when Sophia texted him, suggesting a cozy little cafe downtown for their first date. The cafe was a quaint, charming place with an old-world charm, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. Michael arrived early, his nerves getting the better of him. He chose a table near the window, where the soft light of the setting sun cast a golden hue over everything. He ordered a cup of coffee, trying to calm his racing heart as he waited for Sophia. When she walked in, Michael's breath caught in his throat. She was dressed simply but elegantly, her hair cascading over her shoulders in soft waves. She spotted him and walked over, her smile instantly putting him at ease. "Hi, Michael," she greeted, taking a seat opposite him. "Hi, Sophia," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm glad you could make it." Their conversation picked up right where it had left off at the wedding. They talked about their favorite books, their childhood memories, and their dreams for the future. Sophia shared her love for poetry, reciting a few lines from her favorite poems, her eyes lighting up with passion. Michael listened intently, mesmerized by her words and the way she spoke. As the evening turned into night, they lost track of time, engrossed in each other's company. The cafe staff subtly hinted at closing time, and reluctantly, they decided to leave. Michael walked Sophia to her car, the cold night air biting at their skin. He felt a surge of warmth as she hugged him goodbye, whispering, "I had a wonderful time, Michael. Let's do this again soon." Over the next few weeks, their dates became more frequent. They explored different parts of the city, trying out new restaurants, visiting art galleries, and even attending a few poetry readings. Michael found himself falling deeper for Sophia with each passing day. Her kindness, her intelligence, and her unwavering support made him feel like the luckiest man alive. Sophia, too, found herself drawn to Michael in ways she hadn't expected. His quiet strength, his dedication to his work, and his genuine care for her made her feel cherished and valued. Despite the pressures from her family, she felt a sense of peace and happiness with Michael that she had never felt before. Their relationship blossomed, and it wasn't long before they started talking about a future together. Michael, who had always been cautious about love, found himself dreaming of a life with Sophia. And on the first anniversary of their initial date, he decided to take the next step. They were dining at an elegant rooftop restaurant, the city lights twinkling below them. As the waiter brought out dessert, Michael took Sophia's hand, his heart pounding in his chest. "Sophia," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "this past year with you has been the happiest time of my life. I can't imagine my future without you. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes as she nodded, her smile brighter than the stars above. "Yes, Michael, I will." Michael slipped a ring onto her finger, and they sealed their promise with a kiss, their hearts full of love and hope for the future. Their engagement was a whirlwind of joy and celebration. Friends and family gathered to congratulate them, and plans for the wedding began to take shape. Despite the occasional interference from Margaret and Olivia, Michael and Sophia managed to navigate through the preparations with a sense of unity and excitement. On a crisp autumn day, surrounded by loved ones, Michael and Sophia exchanged their vows in a beautiful ceremony at an old, picturesque church in the heart of the city. The reception that followed was a lively affair, filled with laughter, music, and dancing. Michael looked around at the smiling faces, his heart swelling with happiness as he realized he had found his soulmate in Sophia. As they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Michael whispered in Sophia's ear, "I promise to love you, support you, and stand by you, no matter what life throws our way." Sophia smiled, her eyes shining with love and determination. "And I promise to always be your partner, your confidant, and your biggest cheerleader. Together, we can overcome anything." Little did they know, their promises would soon be put to the test as they faced challenges that would shake the very foundation of their relationship. But for now, in this perfect moment, they were simply Michael and Sophia, two hearts beating as one, ready to embark on the adventure of a lifetime together. The first few months of Michael and Sophia's marriage were a blissful blur. They settled into their new life together in a cozy apartment in the heart of the city. The apartment, though modest, was filled with love and the promise of a bright future. They decorated it together, each piece of furniture and decoration a testament to their shared tastes and mutual compromises. Sophia continued to work at the local steakhouse, managing it with a grace and efficiency that made her well loved by both staff and customers. However, her true passion lay in writing poetry, a dream she often shared with Michael during their quiet evenings at home. Michael, on the other hand, worked remotely from his home office, managing facilities for a large corporation. His job allowed him flexibility, but it was also demanding, often requiring late-night virtual meetings and meticulous attention to detail. Despite their busy schedules, Michael and Sophia made it a point to spend quality time together. They had their little rituals: Saturday morning coffee at their favorite cafe, Sunday evening walks in the nearby park, and weeknight dinners where they would try new recipes together. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, and they relished the simple joys of married life. However, the shadow of Sophia's family loomed large over their happiness. Sophia's mother, Margaret, was a formidable woman. She had a commanding presence and a penchant for giving unsolicited advice. Margaret had always been critical of Sophia's career choices, believing that managing a steakhouse was beneath her daughter's potential. She often pressured Sophia to pursue more respectable professions, like teaching or writing professionally. Sophia's sister, Olivia, was equally influential. Olivia was the epitome of success in the eyes of their family. She held a high-ranking position in a multinational company and lived a life of luxury with her husband, Daniel. Olivia's accomplishments were constantly held up as the standard for Sophia to emulate. This incessant comparison weighed heavily on Sophia, causing her to doubt her own choices and abilities. Michael, though supportive of Sophia, found it challenging to navigate the family dynamics. He admired Sophia's strength and resilience but felt helpless when it came to shielding her from the pressure and criticism. Family gatherings were particularly stressful for Michael. He often felt like an outsider, struggling to find common ground with Sophia's parents and sister. One such gathering took place at Margaret and Thomas's grand suburban home. It was a Sunday afternoon in early spring, and the house was bustling with activity. Olivia and Daniel had arrived early, bringing with them an air of sophistication and success. Margaret was in her element, orchestrating the event with her usual flair. Michael and Sophia arrived, carrying a homemade pie that Sophia had baked earlier that morning. As they entered the house, they were greeted by Margaret's booming voice. "Sophia, Michael, come in, come in. We've been waiting for you," Margaret said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Sophia hugged her mother and then her sister, while Michael exchanged polite greetings with Thomas and Daniel. They made their way to the living room, where the conversation was already in full swing. Olivia was recounting her latest business trip, and Daniel was discussing his plans for an upcoming project. Sophia and Michael found seats on a plush sofa, and Margaret soon joined them, her sharp eyes taking in every detail. "Sophia, darling, how's the steakhouse? Still thinking about writing full-time?" Margaret inquired, her tone a mix of curiosity and criticism. Sophia forced a smile. "The steakhouse is doing well, Mom. And yes, I'm still writing whenever I can find the time." Margaret sighed. "You have so much potential, Sophia. I just don't understand why you're wasting it there." Michael felt a surge of protectiveness for Sophia. He placed a reassuring hand on her back, hoping to lend her some strength. "Margaret, Sophia is doing a fantastic job at the steakhouse. Her customers love her, and she's happy. That's what matters," Michael said, trying to keep his voice steady. Margaret raised an eyebrow but didn't respond. Instead, she turned her attention to Olivia, who was now discussing a prestigious award she had recently received. The rest of the afternoon passed in a similar fashion, with Margaret and Olivia dominating the conversation and subtly undermining Sophia's choices. After what felt like an eternity, the gathering finally came to an end. Michael and Sophia said their goodbyes and made their way back to their car. As soon as they were out of earshot, Sophia let out a frustrated sigh. "I don't know how much more of this I can take, Michael. They make me feel like I'm not good enough, no matter what I do," Sophia said, her voice tinged with sadness. Michael pulled her into a comforting embrace. "You are more than good enough, Sophia. Don't let them get to you. We know your worth, and that's all that matters." Sophia nodded, leaning into Michael's embrace. "Thank you for always being there for me, Michael. I don't know what I'd do without you." Their drive home was quiet, both lost in their thoughts. Once they were back in their apartment, they changed into comfortable clothes and settled on the couch, seeking solace in each other's presence. Michael knew that Sophia needed to vent, so he patiently listened as she poured out her frustrations. "They always do this," Sophia said, her voice breaking. "They make me feel like I'm not enough. No matter how hard I try, it's never good enough for them. Michael held her close, his heart aching for her. Sophia, you are amazing just the way you are. Don't let their words define you. You have your own path, and you're doing great. Sophia took a deep breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I know, but it's hard. I just wish they could see that I'm happy with my life. Michael kissed her forehead. One day, they will. And until then, you have me. We'll get through this together. Sophia smiled through her tears, grateful for Michael's unwavering support. They spent the rest of the evening talking and reassuring each other, their bond growing even stronger in the face of adversity. As the weeks turned into months, Michael and Sophia continued to navigate the challenges posed by her family. Margaret and Olivia's influence remained a constant source of stress, but Michael and Sophia learned to lean on each other for strength. They made a pact to always communicate openly and honestly, promising to face any obstacles together. Sophia found solace in her writing, pouring her emotions into her poetry. Michael encouraged her to share her work with the world, and with his support, Sophia started submitting her poems to various literary journals. Her first acceptance came on a sunny afternoon in June. Michael had just finished a virtual meeting when Sophia burst into his office, her face glowing with excitement. Michael, they accepted my poem. It's going to be published next month, she exclaimed, waving the acceptance email in her hand. Michael stood up and pulled her into a jubilant hug. That's incredible, Sophia. I'm so proud of you. They celebrated with a homemade dinner and a bottle of wine, toasting to Sophia's success. It was a small victory, but it meant the world to Sophia. It was proof that she was more than her family's expectations, that she had her own voice and her own path. Their joy, however, was short-lived. The following weekend, they attended another family gathering, this time at Olivia and Daniel's luxurious penthouse. The evening began well enough, with Olivia giving them a tour of the opulent space and Daniel showing off his collection of rare wines. But as the night wore on, the familiar criticisms resurfaced. Margaret couldn't resist commenting on Sophia's career choices, and Olivia, though more subtle, made sure to highlight her own achievements in a way that cast a shadow over Sophia's. Sophia, I heard you got a poem published. That's nice, Olivia said, her tone dripping with condescension. But have you considered doing something more stable? Like teaching? Sophia's smile faltered, but she managed to keep her composure. I love writing, Olivia. It's what I'm passionate about. Olivia shrugged. Passion is great, but stability is important too. Just think about it. Michael clenched his fists, struggling to keep his anger in check. He hated seeing Sophia belittled and undermined. Later that night, as they lay in bed, Sophia curled up against him, seeking comfort. They just don't get it, Michael. They never will, Sophia whispered, her voice filled with resignation. Michael stroked her hair, his heart breaking for her. We don't need their approval, Sophia. You're doing what you love, and that's what matters. Don't let them make you feel small. Sophia nodded, tears spilling onto Michael's chest. Thank you for always believing in me. Michael held her close, vowing to always protect her from the negativity. They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, their love a shield against the outside world. As time went on, Michael and Sophia found their own rhythm, learning to balance their careers, their relationship, and the challenges posed by her family. They celebrated each other's successes, supported each other through the tough times, and built a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. Their love story was not without its hurdles, but Michael and Sophia faced each challenge with resilience and unwavering commitment. They knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. And so, they continued their journey, hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held. The chill of a January evening hung in the air as Michael hurried home from a particularly long day at work. He was looking forward to unwinding with Sophia, perhaps enjoying one of their favorite homemade dinners and relaxing with a good book. As he entered their cozy apartment, the warmth and familiar scent of home enveloped him. But tonight, something was different. Michael found Sophia in the bedroom, dressed in a stunning red dress that accentuated her graceful figure. Her usually soft and welcoming smile had a hint of mystery tonight. What's the occasion? Michael asked, curiosity piqued. Nothing special, Sophia replied, her voice soft and inviting. Just thinking about you. Michael smiled and allowed her to lead him to the bedroom. She removed her outfit slowly, each movement deliberate and sensuous. I need you, Michael, she whispered, her eyes locking onto his with a fervor he hadn't seen in a while. Their passion was intense, a rekindling of the flames that had been momentarily dimmed by life's challenges. They spent the night lost in each other, their love-making gentle yet fervent, each touch and kiss a reaffirmation of their bond. They eventually fell asleep, entwined in each other's arms, feeling closer than ever. The following morning, Michael woke up feeling invigorated. As he prepared to leave for work, he asked, "Any plans for today?" "Not really," Sophia replied, her voice still drowsy from sleep. "I'll be following soon. Love you." "Love you too," Michael responded, giving her a quick kiss before heading out the door. Friday evening came with its usual routine. Michael looked forward to their typical night out, a nice dinner followed by exploring various activities around town. However, when he arrived home, he noticed Sophia's car was not in its usual spot. Inside, everything seemed normal, but there was a note on the kitchen counter that caught his eye. "I'll be returning very late on Sunday night. Always remember I love you." Confusion and worry gripped Michael. There had been no prior discussion of a trip or weekend getaway. He immediately tried calling Sophia's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. His text message, asking where she was, went unanswered. What kind of marriage allows one partner to vanish without warning or explanation? Michael thought, anger and worry intertwining. He reached out to her parents and sister, but they claimed ignorance. Desperate for answers, he went to their neighbors, Tom and Jessica, hoping for some clue. Jessica, who was close friends with Sophia, denied knowing anything about her whereabouts. Feeling increasingly agitated, Michael headed to the gym, pushing himself hard on the elliptical machine to calm his racing thoughts. The physical exertion helped dissipate his anger, leaving behind a weary frustration. After a quick shower, he returned home to a dark and silent apartment. He poured himself a few shots of whiskey, sitting alone in the living room, his mind playing out various scenarios, none of them comforting. Michael woke up in his recliner around 3 a.m., unsure of when he had fallen asleep. After checking his phone and finding nothing new, he took some painkillers to ease his throbbing head and tried to get a few more hours of sleep. By Saturday morning, with no calls, texts, or emails received, Michael decided on a plan of action. He spent about an hour consulting with private investigators until he found an agency that seemed reliable and available. To his surprise, a young woman named Madison arrived promptly at his doorstep. "Good morning, Mr. Parker. My name is Madison, and I'm here to install the monitoring devices," she said, her appearance contrasting sharply with her professional demeanor. Despite her short hair, lack of makeup, and casual attire, she exuded competence and confidence. Michael reminded himself to avoid stereotypes as Madison efficiently installed the devices, her movements precise and assured. He reiterated his surveillance expectations to her, though he was uncertain if she would be involved beyond the installation. At work, Michael tried to focus on his tasks, but his mind kept drifting back to Sophia. One of the tasks that had been put on hold was the comprehensive review of their West Coast facility system. He held a 1-hour video conference with his boss and the management team from the West Coast, discussing plans for logistics. His boss, understanding Michael's personal turmoil, agreed to keep his whereabouts confidential. Michael used his expense account credit cards to purchase a round-trip ticket and packed his bags, driving himself to the airport. He requested his boss to keep his whereabouts confidential due to ongoing personal issues. His boss, being divorced, readily agreed. Michael hoped to return before Sophia, leaving her a note explaining his absence. Upon arriving at his destination late Saturday night, Michael collected his rental car and checked into a hotel. Despite his persistent attempts to reach Sophia, her phone remained unanswered. He accessed the new security system and checked the live feed from the cameras in their apartment. After reviewing the voice recordings, he found only 2 instances of the home phone ringing, but neither caller had left a message. Sunday passed slowly, with Michael's thoughts consumed by Sophia's mysterious trip. His respect for her diminished as he imagined various scenarios, each more distressing than the last. He feared she might return only to deliver the blow of leaving him. On Monday morning, Michael finally received confirmation that Sophia was still alive. A text message, devoid of any explanation of her whereabouts or activities, arrived shortly after midnight. "Where are you? I missed you and love you." Michael chose not to respond, keeping his phone on silent as the day progressed. The growing number of texts and calls made it clear that he hadn't followed the scenario she had imagined. It wasn't until he was settled in his hotel room later that day that Michael reviewed all of the messages. The first message was a voicemail. "Michael, I discovered your note. Could you please clarify what you meant?" Then a text arrived. "Your office is unaware of your whereabouts. What's the game you're playing?" Another voicemail followed. "Michael, if this is about me being away, you're overreacting. I was only gone for 48 hours. A subsequent text read, "If this is how you want it, fine. I'll wait for your little temper tantrum to subside." A few hours later, "Will you be home for dinner?" After dinner, there was one more text. "I miss you and I love you. At least let me know you're okay." Reflecting on all the messages, Michael realized there wasn't an ounce of remorse on Sophia's part. He certainly wasn't being treated as a loved spouse. He logged in and checked the security footage. There was nothing noteworthy. Sophia arrived shortly after midnight, searched the house for him, and, upon noticing his absence in the garage, sent a text asking his whereabouts. After discovering his note, she proceeded to search his office and closets, similar to Michael's own futile search for Sophia previously. She left for work at her usual time and returned home around her typical arrival time. The voice recordings contained only a few interesting calls. Sophia had called Jessica and learned about Michael's unexpected visit. When Sophia asked, "Did Michael mention where he was going?" Jessica claimed ignorance, which Michael believed was genuine. Despite struggling to sleep, Michael managed to get some rest, waking up to his alarm on Tuesday morning. He received a voicemail saying, "Michael, I missed you. I love you. When is your bizarre behavior ending?" This was followed by a text apologizing for venting frustration and expressing concern for his well-being. Deciding to prolong her uncertainty, Michael replied, "I'm okay, but given the tone of our recent exchanges, I'm not planning to return home. I'm switching off my phone for a busy day." Throughout the day, he felt his phone vibrating but ignored it. Later, in his hotel room after dinner, he decided to engage in his own drama. The first text he received after the initial voicemail was perplexing. "Michael, I'm sorry but I can't discuss it. Can't we move forward?" Did she lose her mind, leaving abruptly and then refusing to talk about it? Finally, a voicemail arrived with a trace of emotion. "I'm sorry you're hurt, but you shouldn't be. Please come home. I miss you. I love you." There were a couple more text messages and a few additional voice memos. Michael made the decision to proceed with drafting separation papers. She left on Friday, and today being Tuesday, there had been no effort on her part to explain her behavior. Something had triggered a change in her, and Michael no longer wished to have a wife who behaved in this manner. He reached out to his boss via email to inquire about the divorce attorney he had used. Upon receiving the contact information, Michael sent an introductory email to the attorney. Michael accessed the security system and reviewed the activity log. The only notable deviation from Monday was a brief moment when Sophia wiped away some tears. There were no suspicious phone calls to address. He sent an email to the private investigators requesting an update. Wednesday morning, upon waking up, Michael found a solitary text message sent at 2 a.m. waiting for him. "Please return home. I feel incredibly lonely without you. I love you." During lunch, he consulted with the divorce attorney, who assured him he had all necessary documents to initiate the separation process. Michael specifically requested that the papers be served at home to spare Sophia any potential embarrassment at her workplace, at least for now. Following another highly productive day at the office, Michael retired to his hotel room. The private investigators' report painted Sophia as an exemplary wife, focused on work, handling groceries, and diligently tending to the home without any noteworthy visitors or extended lunch breaks. After negotiating their fees, Michael struck a deal with the PI and agreed to let Madison, aspiring to be an investigator in turn, continue on his case. After a brief conversation, he tasked Madison with surveilling Sophia until the end of the following week, much to her delight. Upon reviewing the surveillance footage, Michael found little of significance, save for one peculiar phone call. "I promise to update you once I have more information. He hasn't returned home all week. I'm uncertain when I'll next see him." Sophia's text messages and voicemails were now filled with emotion, but there was still no indication of who, what, where, and especially why she had vanished for 2 days. Michael chose not to respond. On Friday night, Michael was well aware of when the papers were delivered. His phone incessantly buzzed starting at 6 p.m., prompting him to eventually power it off. He decided to gain insight into the situation by reviewing the security footage. Everything appeared normal in the morning. Sophia seemed lethargic, frequently checking her phone. She sent a text, called his cell, and left her customary morning message, "Please come home." Sophia returned from work at her usual time and was in the midst of preparing dinner when the doorbell rang. A middle-aged woman stood at the door. Unfortunately, due to the distance, the audio was too faint to discern their conversation. After closing the door, Sophia wasted no time in tearing open the envelope and then collapsed to her knees, her hand covering her mouth. Sophia regained her composure and located her cell phone. She dialed Michael's number multiple times, expressing frustration when he didn't pick up, then ended the calls without leaving a message. She repeated this process about 10 times before composing a lengthy text message and sending it. Meanwhile, Michael decided to power on his cell phone to read the texts. Upon doing so, he discovered messages from Sophia, her mother, and an unfamiliar number. He located Sophia's text chain and scrolled back to a message from around 6:30 p.m. "Michael, please reconsider. I made a terrible mistake. My mom and sister convinced me that pretending to have an affair would reignite our passion and make you fight for me. I spent those 2 days at my mom's place. I swear I haven't been unfaithful and would never jeopardize our marriage. Please call me. I love you." Michael read and reread the message, still unable to comprehend the ludicrous scheme she was confessing to. He returned to watching the video. Sophia was visibly intoxicated, sobbing and slamming her fists on the table. She called both her mother and her sister, pouring out her emotions to them. They arrived within 10 minutes of each other, attempting to comfort her. Olivia interjected, "You're unreasonable. Tell him the truth. You can vouch for her, right, Mom?" Margaret sighed, "Oh no, he called Friday night and I lied to him, saying we didn't know where Sophia was. I'm no better. He called me, but I claimed ignorance. We'll have to come clean and admit we lied." Sophia interjected, "Think about it. Would you believe this nonsense?" After 15 minutes, Sophia exploded, "Just get out. You've ruined my marriage." The pair left sheepishly. Sophia tried calling Michael multiple times before rushing to the bathroom to vomit. Sorting through calls and texts, Michael couldn't believe her mom and Olivia were peddling such nonsense. What kind of delusion were they under to think this plan would ever work? Deciding to confront the situation, Michael sent a text to Sophia. "Your version of the truth means nothing to me. My perception of events is all that matters. I hope your time with your lovers was worth it. If I can't move past this in 90 days, as stipulated in the separation agreement, I will file for divorce." Having struggled to drift off to sleep, Michael found Saturday morning arriving late. It wasn't until 9 a.m. that he finally got out of bed. After showering, shaving, and dressing casually, he made his way to a cafe to indulge in the weekend special. While there, he sifted through and deleted some texts, finding that there was no new ground being covered. All 3 messages stuck to the narrative about attempting to make him jealous, which he found astonishing. The emotional voicemail from Sophia weighed heavily on his mind. He could sense her anguish as she seemed to come to terms with the pain she had caused. Following breakfast, he sat in the park, attempting to devise a plan. Eventually, he decided to call Sophia. "Michael, please don't leave me," she pleaded. "Sophia, slow down. How about starting with good morning, dear? Good morning, dear. I'm so relieved you called. Please believe me. I don't have a lover and never did. Well, dear, you wanted me to believe you did, and now I do. But it's too soon for me to trust that you don't. It's possible you and your family concocted this odd story to cover up your affair. She gasped. Oh God, no, that's not true. Please believe me. What do I need to do? Sophia, you initiated this. I refuse to remain married to a wife who cheats with a lover. Reach out to me when you believe you've regained my trust. We'll talk later. Michael ended the call without waiting for a response, leaving his phone on vibrate. After a day of browsing swap meets and garage sales, he enjoyed a barbecue dinner and returned to his hotel room. Messages from Margaret, Olivia, and Sophia bombarded his phone. Eventually, one of Sophia's messages caught Michael's eye. She proposed, "I'm willing to undergo a polygraph test if you think it will help." After contemplating for a few hours, he replied, "I think that's a good idea. I should be back home by next Saturday and would prefer to be present." "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she responded. "I'll arrange it, and just so you know, I'm confident I'll pass. My only mistake was listening to my mother and sister." Subsequently, she continued with her suggestions. "I'll schedule an appointment for STD testing. Although I've only been intimate with you, I want to address any doubts you may have. This week has been a wake-up call for me. I'm considering seeking a marriage counselor to break free from my family's influence. Have the lawyer prepare a post-nuptial agreement." Michael found himself in agreement with her suggestions. By the time he went to bed, he was beginning to believe her. Upon waking up, he resolved to take an active role, even though she hadn't requested it. He decided to volunteer for all the tests as well. He didn't want her to suspect that he was seeking revenge sex. The idea of the polygraph seemed promising, so much so that he contemplated adding a clause to their postnuptial agreement. If either of them had doubts, they could invoke the polygraph provision and both undergo retesting. Sophia's Sunday morning texts were positive, so Michael gave her a call. "Good morning, Michael. How did you sleep?" "Much better. I appreciate your ideas. Set up appointments for both of us. I want to emphasize that you can trust me. I've prepared a set of questions for your polygraph examiner, and you can create your own for mine. Additionally, I've compiled a joint list for both examiners. If we both pass with flying colors, we can move past this. I've instructed our lawyer to draft a post-nuptial agreement. Also, include me in the marriage counseling, as there are some issues I need to address. What do you think?" Sophia was tearful. "I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. Thank you for giving me a chance. You won't regret it. I love you." The following week passed quickly. Whenever Michael found a moment, he'd reach out to Sophia. They had appointments scheduled for Saturday. The polygraph test and its results were obtained in less than an hour. They both responded to every question without any mistake. There was a moment of shared amusement over one of the standard questions. "Do you always think about your spouse when you make love?" Both of them truthfully answered no. That night, Michael deactivated the security devices. With the reassurance of the polygraph results, they engaged in unprotected intercourse. 2 weeks later, they received completely negative STD results. They've been seeing a marriage counselor once a week for 12 weeks now. Everything seems to be going well so far. Having weighed the costs and benefits, Michael devised his plan for retaliation. "Sophia, no communication whatsoever with Margaret or Olivia today. Do you understand?" "Yes, crystal clear. Will you fill me in afterward?" "Afterward, this is solely my responsibility and no physical harm, only humiliation. Best of luck with it. I truly care for you." "I know. I love you too." Michael withdrew to his office and phoned Madison, who was prepared for what was to come. Dialing Sophia's mother, he said, "Margaret, it's Michael. How are you today?" "I'm well, Michael. What's the reason for your call?" "I was hoping you could join me for lunch today." "I suppose I could. When and where?" "Well, I have a gift card for MZ Amy, the upscale French restaurant in the penthouse of the downtown Hilton. Around noon. Dress elegantly. Does that suit you?" "I'll be there." "Excellent. See you at noon. Please keep this meeting confidential. You'll understand later. One target down, one to go." Michael arranged for Olivia to arrive at 12:15 p.m. He called Madison again to provide the details and also sent her photos of Margaret and Olivia. Around 10 a.m., Madison sent Michael several videos for his consideration. One of them captured the lunch meeting, and they would choose one as the trailer. Michael found amusement in the one he selected. By 12:25, Madison forwarded an email containing links to 3 videos she had arranged for her associate, a young man named Samuel, to meet Michael's in-laws. Both the original footage and the edited versions were sent for Michael's review. In the initial video, Margaret was dressed provocatively. Though Michael had never viewed her in that light, she was undeniably attractive and well-proportioned. Upon entering the lobby, Samuel, who towered over her, held a sign bearing her name. She approached him. "Margaret? Yes, that's me. Excellent. I'm here to escort you to the restaurant." He offered his arm, and Margaret linked hers with his. As they waited for the elevator, he leaned in to smell her neck. "You smell lovely. Again, I'm so glad you could make it today." Margaret met his gaze, blushing. The elevator arrived, and as the doors closed, they ascended to the penthouse restaurant. Moments later, Samuel emerged from the elevator, now holding a sign for Olivia. If Michael found Margaret alluring, Olivia surpassed her effortlessly. When Samuel extended his arm, Olivia not only linked hers but also leaned into him. "You smell lovely. Again, I'm so glad you could make it today." Olivia melted under the compliment, engaging in playful banter with Samuel as the elevator doors shut. The original footage concluded. Michael opened the edited videos and watched in astonishment. Both clips were nearly identical. They commenced with Samuel extending his elbow. Clear audio accompanied with Samuel saying, "You smell lovely. Again, I'm so glad you could make it today." As the elevator doors shut, the scene transitioned to the chosen trailer. Samuel emerged from a bedroom, hastily zipping up his pants. A bra lay on the bedroom floor. Catching sight of the cameraman, Samuel exclaimed, "Hey, what are you doing?" and dashed toward the camera. The clip abruptly ended, lasting a mere 22 seconds. How much harm could such a brief video inflict? Michael wondered. They were about to discover. With a few keystrokes, email number 1 was dispatched to Thomas, with Margaret copied in. Simultaneously, email number 2 was sent to Daniel, with Olivia copied in. Both emails bore the same message. Have you ever considered getting tested for sexually transmitted diseases? They are still at the Hilton. Michael anticipated Madison's call anxiously. True to form, she didn't disappoint. Not even a minute later, she called. "Michael, it couldn't have gone any better. I'll send you the video." They were sitting together. Samuel stopped by and informed them that you were delayed. They were laughing and giggling when their phones buzzed. "They watched the video you sent." Margaret went absolutely crazy. Olivia tried to stand up and fainted. "If I were you, I'd lay low for a while." Margaret didn't mince words. "You're in deep trouble. I owe you big time." After receiving the restaurant video from Madison, Michael opened his office door slightly and called for Sophia. "Honey, your mother and sister are having some issues in their marriage." When Sophia joined him, Michael remarked, "I suppose we'll see if their husbands pamper them and if their intimacy reaches new heights. Take a look at the emails and videos I just sent." As Sophia watched, she gasped and muttered, "Oh my God, did they really go into his room? Only they know for sure. I arranged the setup and had my private investigator produce the video. As far as I know, the young man only escorted them to the restaurant. Are you ready to see their reaction when they watch the emailed video?" "Yes, show me, show me." Sophia laughed so hard tears formed in her eyes. "Thank you. It seems like Mom wants to take you down. Now come down here and claim your reward." It was as intense as any reconciliation intimacy they'd ever shared, interrupted by incessant phone calls. Reality intruded as they faced the consequences of their actions. They cuddled until Michael was ready for more. The doorbell interrupted them, revealing Margaret and Thomas, whose tense demeanor hinted at trouble. "What's your dad's number? Wait, let me grab my phone." Moments later, the ringtone filled the air as they watched Thomas retrieve his phone. "Hey, we're at your place. When are you getting here? It's Michael's dad. Before we meet, ask Margaret about what they talked Sophia into." I'll fill you in later. Michael ended the call, and they observed as Thomas turned to address Margaret. Margaret's posture slouched, and then Thomas launched into an intense verbal attack. He confronted her face to face, his eyes blazing with fury. After his outburst, he stormed off and got into his truck, locking the doors before driving away, while Margaret struggled to open the passenger door. She stood there in tears as Thomas sped off. Afterward, Michael and Sophia got dressed and sat in the kitchen, exchanging texts and voicemails from all parties involved. It became apparent that not only had they misjudged Michael's response, but they also knew very little about their own husband's reactions. How long do we let Thomas and Daniel endure this? I'm thinking of texting Daniel to ask Olivia what she did to you. Michael followed through with that plan and sent the message. Sent. But shouldn't we let them know their wives didn't cheat? They didn't. You said they only went to the restaurant. But remember, when you first saw the video, you asked, did they actually go into his room? Did they call me and clarify that it was just a joke? With a lowered head, Sophia replied, no. All right, here's what we'll do. Let's meet them for dinner tomorrow night. I don't ever want those two women in my house again. We'll go to some pizza place. But Michael interrupted her with a raised hand. This discussion is concluded. They arrived at the Pizza Hut parking lot well ahead of schedule. Michael had a document for Thomas and Daniel containing the contact details of the individuals Michael and Sophia consulted for polygraph tests, STD tests, and marriage counseling. Another sheet contained the questions they had prepared for the polygraph test. Just to be cautious, Michael brought along some pepper spray, though it might be overkill. While they waited, they ordered pizzas. Thomas and Margaret arrived, their expressions unreadable, and sat opposite Sophia. Shortly after, Daniel and Olivia joined, making it a group of 6. The pizzas arrived while the waitress took drink orders. Dig in, everyone. The pizzas are on us, Michael said. Once the drinks were served, Michael began his prepared speech. Apologies will never suffice for what you ladies did. Sophia and I are determined to move forward. We've undergone polygraph tests, STD screenings, drafted a post-nuptial agreement, and started marriage counseling. I've included all the contact numbers on these sheets. He handed copies to Thomas and Daniel. I recommend you follow our lead. Here's the set of questions we provided to the polygraph examiners. Thomas and Daniel each received a copy. Michael observed a worried expression on Olivia's face. Olivia, you seem distressed. Not keen on undergoing a lie detector test? The glance Daniel directed at Olivia conveyed a fierce determination. You will definitely be taking the test. There wasn't much casual conversation that evening. Whenever anyone broached the topic of that day, Michael deflected, saying, I won't be answering any questions. If you experience difficulties in your marriage, I suggest you follow the steps Sophia and I took to rebuild ours. Michael settled their bill and got ready to depart. One more thing, Margaret and Olivia. I never want to see you in my house again. Sophia may attend your family events, but don't be surprised if this marks the last time we're in the same room together. A week later, Daniel called to provide his temporary address. Olivia's polygraph had yielded negative results. They refrained from asking for details, and he didn't offer any. Michael's earlier bravado concerning family gatherings vanished when he found Thomas standing at his doorstep. Michael, I heard what you said about family gatherings, but it would mean a lot if you and Sophia could join us for breakfast on Sunday morning. I can't fully appreciate this victory unless you're there. We both passed the polygraph. I can only imagine the ordeal you endured. It turned my stomach upside down, and I only had to endure a few days of it. Please join us on Sunday. With a handshake, Michael was welcomed back into the family. Sunday turned out to be enjoyable. However, Thomas made sure to subtly remind Margaret of her past actions by insisting she wear the same dress from the lunch video. Margaret's usual authoritative demeanor was noticeably subdued. Her position as the household matriarch had been challenged, with Thomas now asserting dominance. When Margaret tried to speak up, Thomas would politely silence her. Margaret, our guests are already well aware of your intellectual prowess. Why don't you just sit there and grace us with your presence? Sophia then offered, Dad, would you like to watch the original video? Could I? Thomas asked. Michael reviewed his emails, then said, "Here you go, Thomas. After this, I'll show you the trailers I had to choose from." As they watched the various trailers, Thomas remarked, "I'm glad you didn't choose this one. I might have been tempted to grab my gun and finish her off." When she got home, he was referring to a scene where Samuel appeared with his back to the camera, holding a handful of hair stretched towards his rear end. At first glance, it seemed like he was receiving a sexual favor, but it turned out he was holding a wig that matched both Margaret and Olivia's hair color. Margaret finally broke her silence. "Can I see it too?" After viewing it, she said, "Michael, thank you for not choosing that one. You definitely outsmarted us. We deserved it. I'm really sorry." Michael simply nodded in response. "Here's one more for you to look at. This shows both of them receiving the emails that day." Thomas let out a hearty laugh. Now, dear. You didn't really mean it when you said you wanted Michael dead, did you?" Margaret smugly shrugged her shoulders. "Maybe." Later, when they returned home, Michael and Sophia indulged in an afternoon filled with sexual intimacy. Daniel ended his marriage with Olivia and cited the adultery clause in their prenuptial agreement. They sold their house, and now Olivia resides in a one-bedroom apartment. Daniel has attended some of their neighborhood potluck dinners. Margaret maintains regular communication with Sophia. If Thomas extends an invitation, they participate in family gatherings. The first time Olivia attended, Michael was uncertain about what to expect. Thomas ensured they were all informed. His condition for Olivia's invitation was that she wear MZ Amy's outfit. Despite her objections, she appeared radiant as ever, foolish, perhaps, but undeniably beautiful. To Michael, Sophia held equal beauty. During the conversation, Thomas remarked, "Michael, be grateful that Sophia only pretended to have an affair out of love for you. Seems we can't say the same for her promiscuous sister, can we?" Olivia left the table in tears. Michael felt a sense of pride that Thomas had the courage to speak the truth. Olivia has yet to offer a sincere apology. Thomas and Michael openly discuss Michael's job as an engineer. Thomas offers valuable insights and questions that Michael brings back to the office. Thomas still limits Margaret's participation in conversations, allowing Sophia newfound freedom to express herself at family gatherings. Sophia has devoted much time to her poetry, publishing several pieces online and learning to navigate the harsh criticism of the public. Though their plan didn't unfold as expected, the little scheme ultimately strengthened Michael and Sophia's bond. This story about complex family relationships and unexpected changes inspires optimism and hope. It demonstrates that even in the most difficult situations, there is an opportunity for reconciliation and growth if there is a willingness to engage in honest communication and embrace change. As the weeks turned into months, Michael and Sophia continued to rebuild their marriage, their bond growing stronger each day. The counseling sessions helped them communicate more effectively, and they learned to navigate their differences with patience and understanding. Sophia's decision to distance herself from her mother's and sister's toxic influence proved to be a turning point in their relationship. Despite the initial tension, Thomas and Margaret gradually adjusted to the new dynamics in the family. Margaret, having been humbled by the events, became more supportive of Sophia's choices. She began to take a genuine interest in Sophia's poetry, even attending one of her readings. This gesture meant the world to Sophia, who had longed for her mother's approval. One crisp autumn morning, Sophia woke up to find Michael sitting at the kitchen table, deep in thought. He looked up as she entered, a smile spreading across his face. "Good morning, love," he greeted, pulling her into a warm hug. "I've been thinking." "About what?" Sophia asked, curiosity piqued. "About us. About everything we've been through. I think it's time we took a break from all the chaos and spent some quality time together, away from everyone," Michael suggested. Sophia's eyes lit up. "That sounds wonderful. Where should we go?" Michael had already planned a surprise. "How about a week in the mountains? I found this charming cabin where we can unwind and just be together." Sophia beamed. "I'd love that. Let's do it." The following weekend, they packed their bags and drove up to the cabin. Nestled amidst towering pine trees and surrounded by nature's tranquility, the cabin was the perfect retreat. The crisp mountain air and the serene environment provided a much-needed respite from their hectic lives. They spent their days hiking through scenic trails, exploring the beauty of the mountains, and their nights curled up by the fireplace, talking about their dreams and aspirations. The time away allowed them to reconnect on a deeper level, reminding them of the love that had brought them together in the first place. One evening, as they sat on the porch, watching the sun set behind the mountains, Sophia turned to Michael, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for this, Michael. I didn't realize how much we needed this until now. I feel like we're stronger than ever." Michael took her hand, his eyes reflecting the same sentiment. "I feel the same way. No matter what happens, we'll always have each other. And that's all that matters." Their week in the mountains brought them closer than ever. When they returned home, they felt rejuvenated and ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The lessons they had learned during their time apart and the strength they had found in each other became the foundation of their renewed relationship. Sophia continued to pursue her passion for poetry, and with Michael's unwavering support, she published her first book. It was a collection of poems that reflected her journey, her struggles, and her triumphs. The book received positive reviews, and Sophia's confidence grew with each passing day. Michael, too, found a renewed sense of purpose in his work. Inspired by their journey, he took on new projects with vigor and determination, excelling in his career. The balance they had struck between their personal and professional lives created a harmonious environment that allowed them both to thrive. As the year came to a close, they looked back on their journey with a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had faced numerous obstacles, but their love and commitment had seen them through. The future, once uncertain and filled with doubt, now seemed bright and full of possibilities. During a quiet evening at home, as they decorated their Christmas tree, Michael turned to Sophia, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Do you remember our first Christmas together?" he asked, a smile tugging at his lips. Sophia laughed, the memory warming her heart. "Of course I do. We had just moved into this apartment, and we didn't even have a proper tree. We decorated that little potted plant instead." Michael chuckled. "And it was the best Christmas ever because we had each other." Sophia nodded, her eyes sparkling with affection. "It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?" "It has," Michael agreed, wrapping his arms around her. "And I wouldn't change a thing. Every challenge, every struggle has brought us to where we are today." Sophia leaned into him, feeling the strength of their bond. "I love you, Michael. Thank you for always standing by me." "I love you too, Sophia. And I always will," Michael replied, kissing her gently. As they stood together, their home filled with the warmth of the holiday season, they knew that they had built something truly special. Their love had been tested and had emerged stronger than ever. They had learned to communicate openly, to support each other unconditionally, and to cherish the moments of joy and togetherness. The story of Michael and Sophia is a testament to the power of love and resilience. It shows that even in the face of adversity, true love can conquer all. Their journey was not easy, but it was worth every challenge and every tear. They had grown as individuals and as a couple, finding strength in each other and in their shared experiences. As they looked forward to the new year, they knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And that was all they needed to know. Lessons learned. 1. Communication is key. Open and honest communication is essential in any relationship. Michael and Sophia learned to express their feelings and concerns, which helped them navigate their challenges more effectively. 2. Support each other. Being there for each other, especially during tough times, strengthens the bond between partners. Michael's unwavering support for Sophia's passion for poetry and her efforts to distance herself from her toxic family influence played a crucial role in their journey. 3. Quality time matters. Taking time away from the chaos of everyday life to reconnect with your partner is vital. Michael and Sophia's retreat to the mountains allowed them to rekindle their love and strengthen their bond. 4. Resilience and commitment. Relationships require effort and commitment. Despite the numerous obstacles they faced, Michael and Sophia's resilience and dedication to each other helped them overcome their challenges. 5. Personal growth. Supporting each other's personal growth and celebrating each other's successes contribute to a healthy and fulfilling relationship. Michael and Sophia encouraged each other to pursue their passions and grow as individuals, which in turn enriched their relationship. The journey of Michael and Sophia is a heartwarming tale of love, resilience, and personal growth. Their story reminds us that true love can withstand the test of time and adversity, and that with open communication, mutual support, and a commitment to each other, any challenge can be overcome. As they look forward to a future filled with possibilities, Michael and Sophia's love story serves as an inspiration to us all. As Michael and Sophia's story draws to a close, their journey from deception to redemption leaves a lasting impression. Their love, once tested by misguided actions and family pressures, emerges stronger than ever. Through open communication, unwavering support, and a deep commitment to one another, they rebuild their relationship on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. Sophia's passion for poetry flourishes, supported by Michael's encouragement and belief in her talent. Michael, too, finds renewed purpose in his career, driven by the lessons learned from their shared experiences. Together, they create a life filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. The Hidden Betrayal, a cheating wife's redemption, is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of love. It reminds us that even in the face of adversity, true love can conquer all, leading to growth, healing, and a deeper connection. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey, and we hope it has inspired you to believe in the possibility of second chances and the enduring strength of love.